All right, Chris Popper here at Bangor. I'm joined by head coach Mark Shields from the MDI Trojans. And coach, congratulations. A huge victory on last Friday night against Waterville. It seemed to get the Waterville monkey off the Trojans' back. But let's be honest, how did you feel after that first kickoff return? I know I had a pit in my stomach, and I'm not even playing.
Yeah, yeah, we were very pleased with the victory. That was a big one for us for sure. It only took 5 tries to beat them in 8-man, so
Right.
we are starting to wonder if we could actually beat Waterville, but we did. Yeah, so we thought we had a great week of preparation and practice, and the boys were all fired up, and we kicked the ball off, and there they go, number 22 to the house for a touchdown. And Coach Shields, I may have said a few things that I won't say here on this broadcast, but yeah, I wasn't very pleased, to say the least. Um, Thank goodness we did regroup. But I remember looking at the clock, and I think maybe 6 seconds had run off, and we're already down 8-0.
There was plenty of time left in the game, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, so that was a rough start, but fortunately, we battled, and you look at the score. Some people are like, oh, you really blew those guys out, but I mean, you were there. It didn't feel that way as the game was going along. I think by halftime we were up 10, and still thinking, we could lose this thing for sure. And fortunately, the boys came out and they had a nice drive to start the second half, and we were able to, defensively, I thought we played really well. I mean, we gave up 16 points in one half of
Right.
that kickoff return. So defensively, to give up, one touchdown to Waterville and their high-powered offense, I was really pleased. And our pass defense was really, really good that night. Compared to Camden Hills the week before, that was something that you and I had talked about last week, things that we are going to try to emphasize on, and that was one of them, our pass coverage. So I thought that, they took that seriously and they worked hard all week to get better. And looking at the stats, I didn't realize that we didn't give up one pass to them. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I had you outgaining Waterville in the first half, uh, 328 yards to 118 yards, and rushing 174 to 115 yards. I mean, which is just, outstanding against a team like Waterville.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And offensively, we were very efficient. Mark Arnold did a great job preparing the guys, and we made plays when we needed to. And I was happy for guys like Cal Hodgson to try to get the ball to him. And the more guys we can get involved in our offense, the tougher we're going to be to stop. And so they can't key on one person. So yeah, it was a great win. It felt good to finally beat Waterville. And I mean, also it was huge in the standings. It puts us in third place and ahead of a couple other really good football teams.
Which is just weird in the way that the Crabtrees work. This might be a year where the Crabtree points are not MDI's friends, even though you're 3-1.
Right. So Camden sits at number one; they're undefeated, and then Morse sits at number two. Um, so we'll see how it plays out. We got to take it a game at a time, and those things, we don't worry about those things. They kind of take care of themselves. Our job is to, get better every week and try to get wins.
Right. Let's talk a little bit here, or give a shout out to the defense. You shared with me the stats, and where have I got them? Uh, Nate Olson, 11 tackles, 4 assists. James Downey, 8 tackles, 3 assists. Tyler Lunt, 7 tackles, an assist, and an interception. Cal Hodgson, 6 tackles, 2 assists, and interception. Jacob Shields, happy birthday, a day late, 3 tackles, 3 assists. And Garrett Ames, a name we don't hear a lot, 2 tackles, 2 assists, and a big fumble recovery. So the defense really, really came up big on last Friday night.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing about defensive football is if you can be solid defensively, you can stay in games. I mean, you and I have been doing
Right.
it long enough to know, if you're not strong defensively, then you really got to rely on your offense to be good every night, and that's hard. I mean, offense is, it depends. There's a lot of elements there, and sometimes it's weather, personnel, what have you, turnovers. Um, so if we can continue to be solid defensively, we can keep ourselves in games. And yeah, I mean, you think about a guy like Garrett Ames. Garrett, he hasn't been playing football that long, and he's a guy that's he's developing every day. He's getting better every day, and he's a guy we like to put in there when we think that our opponent's going to throw the football. We like to put him down at the nose and try to put pressure on the quarterback. And he's a kid that just works hard every day in practice and to getting himself better. And he's excited about football. It's fun to watch, and so that's been key for us. We had we have a few guys. Adari Foster is another guy that we can plug in there from time to time. And so we have some guys that, are really helping us with our depth at different positions defensively, which is nice. Nate Olson, he led us in tackles, and Nate's just a sophomore. He looks like a kid that, he looks like
A big boy.
right? He's a big kid and big, strong guy. And he's a weight room guy, and he loves football. And he's getting better every week. We had him as a down lineman last year as a freshman and to start this year. And then every coaches meeting, we're thinking, gosh, this guy with his speed, and he's very aggressive, and, maybe we should try him at linebacker. So he's a guy that's learning that position, and we're seeing great gains from him every week. And James Downey, I can't say enough about him as far as the defensive end. He's one of the best in the league. Really aggressive, but he's smart as well. He makes his reads, and he plays off of that. So he's having a big year for us. So yeah, we hope we keep it rolling against Lake Region.
Who did you give the game ball or balls to on after the win against Waterville? Probably one for the coaching staff for finally beating Waterville.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no, kids didn't want me to get one. So yeah, I ended up giving Aiden Jeffers the game ball. And, with Aiden, he's just been consistent every game. You look at the stat sheet and you're like, well, he didn't make a lot of tackles, but a nose guard, really, if he's doing his job, you're not going to see a lot of tackles because his job is to take up blocks.
Clog the hole and
yep,
engage the opponent.
Definitely. So it takes usually two linemen to try to block him, and then that opens up holes for other players to make plays. And he's just been getting it done for us for the last 2 years. He's a big, strong kid, and so we ended up giving the game ball to him.
One player who's really come along and had a lot of playing time was Lincoln Gray. I mean, I know that he was involved, because of an injury, but he looks like he's earning some playing time.
Yeah, right. So Lincoln, I believe this is only his second year playing football. He played in the AYS last year. I do know that. So he's raw talent. He's a ninth grader. He's an athletic kid. He's a tough kid. And he's a guy that, we saw right from day one that he could possibly help us at the varsity level, even as a freshman, which you don't typically see. So we've had him in different positions, and we eventually decided, let's just simplify this and put him at our 3-back, which is our main running back, premier running back. And we moved Jacob Shields to our 4-back so we can have a little more diversity with him running and catching the ball. So Lincoln, yeah, he is working real hard. He's taking it seriously. And we're just hoping that he continues to grow as a player. And we're hoping by the end of the season, he's going to be a strong running back for us.
Yeah, ball security, a key thing there with Lincoln, and, hang on to that ball. But, as you said, it's tough going and playing as a freshman, especially with just a couple of years of football experience.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like you said, the speed of the game is so much different, especially from middle school to high school, but even sometimes from JV to varsity, it's a little bit faster. And he hadn't had a lot of experience, only playing a couple years. And you're right, ball security was one thing that we have really stressed with him. And when he put the ball on the ground, and I knew he felt bad about it, and we move on. People make mistakes, but that's just a learning experience for him, and hopefully it makes him better.
The one thing that I don't know if you saw, because of being involved in the halftime chat with the coaches and the players, but they announced all the AYS kids and they ran out in the field, and it was encouraging to see the number of kids that are playing youth football and that feeder system for the high school.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. It's interesting. Last night on the practice field, the teams were all over there practicing, and the AYS kids and us coaches looked across and said, this is pretty cool. It seems like football is starting to grow again on Mount Desert Island, and people are excited about football again. And, for a football guy like me, that just warms my heart. And, there's just so many benefits to playing football for kids, and it has nothing to do with wins and losses. It's just a lot of lessons learned from playing the great game of football. So I'm really pleased, and our youth coaches are doing an amazing job. Those guys are just so awesome. They're so positive with the kids, and they make it fun. And they're probably the real reason why football is starting to grow, because of their efforts. And Tony McKim and the AYS. So I really do appreciate that. And, we're hoping that football goes on forever here at Mount Desert Island.
So you guys take the long bus ride on tomorrow night, Friday night. Again, that game will not be on the radio or the internet. I unfortunately have other commitments, but we'll have the rest of the games. But tell us how the week's gone and how you're preparing for Lake Region.
Yeah, so you're right. The kids are getting dismissed at 1:00 Friday, and then we'll be
today, 1:00 today for the game on Friday, right?
Right.
Far?
Podcast Friday. And then we're on the road at 1:15, and we went down there last year by bus. It's about 3.5 hours to get to Lake Region. We're hoping to get down there, hoping 5, a little after 5, so the guys can get off the bus and stretch their legs and get ready to play a football game. And yeah, I feel like we've had a good week of preparation. We talked a lot to the kids this week about, don't let Waterville be the highlight of your season. That was a huge win for us, but you have to move on from that. Win or lose any game, you learn from it, and then you move on. And we have to move on and get ready to play a really good Lake Region team. It's easy to look at Lake Region and say, well, they don't have a lot of wins, and that'd be an easy victory, but it's not going to be. They have some really good athletes on their team. A lot of the kids you saw last year are all coming back. We had troubles down there right from the start. They drove the ball right down the field and punched it in on us, got the 2-point conversion, and we were down 8-0 early against this team. So it's their homecoming. They're going to be all fired up. I told the kids, it's like going into a hornet's nest. We just got to figure out a way to come out with a win, and it's going to be a hard-fought win if we can get it.
Well, that's the thing, is that you're now getting into that homecoming senior nights for opposing team, and that kind of makes it a festive atmosphere for the home team, not so much for the visitors.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Sometimes you feel like you're the sacrificial lamb coming to town, but and it's it's just the nature of the beast. Every team has to have a homecoming game, and sometimes it's based off the time of year, the schedule, what have you. But for whatever reason, we are the team that's going down there for their homecoming, and they're going to be excited about it, and there's going to be a lot of people there rooting on the Lakers and, the Trojans. I'm hoping we can get some fans getting down there. I know my wife she's getting a hotel room so she and my daughters can go down and watch the game because they don't want to drive all the way back, which I don't blame them.
Nice. You'll be on the bus coming home, and they'll be enjoying, continental breakfast on Saturday morning.
Probably. I'll be waking up and Saturday morning, I won't even know my middle name and have to start trying to break down tape on my next opponent. And, they'll be having
shopping in Freeport. Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend for the Shields ladies. But
my credit card will be smoking probably by the end of the day. But jeez. But anyway, yes, I hope we can get some people to go down. I ran into Cal Hodgson's dad, Jason Hodgson, and I guess he's making the trek. So hopefully we have a few people show up down there. But I know it is a long ride and a late night on a Friday. So the Trojans, we might have to be our own cheerleaders down there in Lakerville.
Well, I'm sure that the cheerleaders are coming down and they're doing a great job. And let's shout out to the band, shout out to the student section. They were loud and proud on last Friday, and we've talked about the difference that makes, and it's just incredible to look across and see that whole student section just packed.
Yeah. And you and I are biased, of course, but I don't typically see that at other
Oh
schools.
no,
I
right,
do,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I do remember our girls basketball team played Lake Region in a state championship game a few years ago, and I do remember their student section being pretty amazing as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if Lake Region has a really nice student section. But you're right, Chris. It's really fun to see the kids, and they get excited, and they have these different themes and what have you. And they're just, it's just really cool that they are out there supporting. It doesn't matter which team's out there on the field, but they're out there supporting the teams and the players and everybody. It's just really an amazing atmosphere.
And not to look ahead, but then we've got our final regular season home game the following week, um, October 6th at 6 o'clock against Spruce Mountain. And that, that's got to be MDI's homecoming, but that's a monster game as well.
Yeah, that will not only be homecoming, that's going to be our senior night. It's going to be an important game, of course. So we're going to be just like Lake Region Friday. It'll be our turn, and it's going to be another just crazy night.
All right, coach. How injuries, how are we doing with injuries as we get into week 5 here?
Yeah, once again, knocking on the old noggin here, the wood, but so far so good. The kids are healthy overall, and a lot of these kids committed themselves to the weight room in the off season, which I do
Oh,
believe.
you can see the difference. I mean, the kids bulk up, and Dan does a marvelous job with keeping everybody fit and tending to everything.
Yeah, yeah, Dan, he does a tremendous job. You're right, Chris, and helping kids stay healthy and getting them back on the field. And right now, we're a healthy football team and ready to go.
All right, coach. I hope you have a great trip down. Good luck on the game on Friday night. We'll talk to you next week and look forward to having the Trojans, and with the Red Sox done, we'll be back on the air with on the radio with the games. So October 6th back in Bar Harbor against Spruce Mountain, and that will be at 6 o'clock. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good day.
All right, thanks, Chris.